Great news. The Cubs have lost 8 games in a row. They lost 2 games to the White Sox, and then they lost 3 games to the Brewers, and then they got completely trounced by the Houston Astros. Losing to the Brewers is forgivable. The Brewers are really good at baseball. The White Sox are okay. Considering how bad the White Sox were a couple years ago, they've had probably the biggest phenomenal turnaround in all of MLB history. We can even let that slide. But to lose 3 straight against the Astros, including being blanked 3-0, is inexcusable. The Cubs are going to go against the Pirates. So hopefully we can continue this 8-game losing streak, this legendary 8-game losing streak. The Cubs hopefully continue to fall apart. The Pirates and the Reds have both done something that the Chicago Cubs haven't done in their last 8 games, and that's they won a game. So because the Pirates and the Cubs actually won a game in their last 8 games, they are now just a few games behind the Cubs. Kind of like at Rocky IV, when you find out that Drago is a man and not a machine. Milwaukee has lost 2 games in a row, but they're still at a .600 winning percentage, so they're just really good. However, second place is in contention for the NL Central. The Cardinals lost. They are at 29-22. Chicago has just forgotten how to play baseball. Cincinnati and the Pirates are both coming off wins. The Pirates are in last place, but they're only 4.5 games back from first place. They're only 3 games back from second place. So if they get on a hot streak, if they can knock out the hated Cubs, if the Pirates can win this series against the Cubs, they will be in contention for second place. The Cubs drop like a stone. Now, the only fear I have is there's a law of averages. And the Cubs have lost 8 games in a row, which is epic. Can the Pirates get them to lose 9 games, 10 games in a row? That might be asking too much of math, because 8 games in a row is really bad. In fact, it's the worst in all of baseball right now. Even the Tigers won. The Tigers had lost 8 games in a row, and they won yesterday. So the Tigers are at 2-8. They've won 2 games, and they've lost 8 games in the last 10. The Cubs are in the same situation where they've won 2 games and lost 8 in a row. Like I said, I am concerned about the law of averages if the Cubs have lost this many times in a row. Now, shockingly, the Cubs are still at a +20 run differential. The Cubs have still scored 20 more runs than they've let in, despite the fact that they lost 8 games in a row. So that's kind of significant. That does sort of indicate that they are still kind of like a dangerous team. The Pirates are dealing with a dog that has been pushed into a corner. Colorado Rockies update, they've lost 2 in a row. They're 3-7 in their last 10, -63 differential. The Rockies have now surpassed the Angels with the worst differential in baseball. The Angels are on a hot streak. They've won 3 in a row. The Astros are on a hot streak too because they played the Cubs. The Angels are 4-6 right now, so this might be their best streak of the entire season so far. They're at 20-34. They've won 37% of their games. It's great to see the Boston Red Sox playing so lousy. 13 games back. They're a -16 run differential. They're 4-6, which for a team like the Pirates would be kind of like par for the course, but for the Red Sox, that's pretty terrible. San Francisco Giants have won 2 in a row. Will the Pirates defeat the hated Cubs today? We'll find out. Big showdown in the NL Central. The Pirates are 1 game over 500, which for the Pirates is pretty astonishing. The Cincinnati Reds are 2 games over 500. The Pirates are a much better team than the Reds, even though they're behind them right now. We can tell that because the Pirates have scored 22 more runs than they've given up, whereas the Reds have given up 34 more runs than they've scored. St. Louis Cardinals are right at sea level. They've just scored 1 more run than they've given up for the whole season. They're punching way above their weight class. They lost 1 in a row. They should be going on an 8-game losing streak just like the Cubs. Fortunately, we do have some footage of the Chicago Cubs at bat against the Houston Astros. Let's roll that tape. Strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. That's what happens in baseball. You're out.